Are we live? Hopefully we're live. I think we're live this time. Sup shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where we are $6 song reviews number 10. And what we do in these live streams is we review your music, your tunes for $6 per track. And if we switch over to here, we have got ourselves Spotify, and I'm also using Firefox. Now, I'm using Firefox because I've realized it's a lot easier for me to click on Firefox as opposed to going through my various other Opera pages. How are you doing? Hopefully you're well. If you're watching this, hopefully you're having a nice weekend so far. So I'm just kind of figuring out how I want to do this with the size of this. This seems like I had it differently. Q is 0. Yeah, so usually you just put closed. Does that fit? If I make it big, oh, hang on. If I actually make that go the whole way out, that does go that far, which is good. I don't know how that looks on the screen though. I'm pretty sure that we're live as well, so that's cool. No, you can't see it. Okay. No, actually, no, you can see closed there. That's okay. Q is 0, open. Yay! So we can see that it's open. That's nice. So I figured that out as well. We are making fantastic progress today in terms of setting up something like this. And we'll move that as well. And that should be good. We should be good to go. There you go. Awesome. So I suppose what we're going to do today, whilst we are on people, / if there are commissions to do. If not, feel free just to say hi, just hang out. We can just have a chat. This is the 4th week in a row that we've been able to do these, which has been good. The last few weeks has been pretty busy, which has been kind of nice. It's been good to hang out with people and also to review some of your music. Don't really anything much to talk about with the channel at the moment. It's just been busy with like Fiverrwork. So a lot of SP React stuff's gone up on the YouTube recently. You know, like it's been busy, but like in a way that is positive, I suppose. But it's going to probably be a bit quieter for the next little bit because there's been like almost too many tracks to do. And that sounds like a humble flex. I'm just making sure that I can see the album. You can still kind of see it. If I made that bigger. It's not too bad. It does cut off the album a little bit though, doesn't it? Don't know if I dig that. It's enough. I think it'll be fine. It's just the problem is if I like do this, then that kind of goes that way, so it's a bit neater. So you can still see most of the album, so it's fine. You know, I can put it on the screen so people can see it anyway, so that's okay. So you can still see what's going on. You can see the title. So I think that's the kind of main thing that you want to sort of be able to check out the actual song and see what's going on there. We're going to probably have a talk. I wanted to talk about some Patreon stuff, just to sort of like do some more stuff with Patreon, but I need to sort of flesh that out a bit more before I discuss it. Just because Patreon's been on the back burner a little bit. I've been doing videos for people, but just hasn't been done what we've done with it. So it'd be good to be able to get that done. I've just also realized that yeah. We should get rid of the weather. We don't really need to see the weather at all. That's good. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll check out the music news, like we always do. And we'll check out what's been happening with the Rolling Stone. Now, this is too small on my screen, so I assume it will be... That's looking big enough. That's looking big enough. That looks big to me. You can't really see... You can't really see the writing, though. You can't really see the background. Sup, sweet little love, how are you doing? Hopefully you're well. You can't really see the background of the captions. That is a problem. That is a problem. Can you see it on this? You can see it on this. I suppose I just need to sort of like go into the actual, I mean, like text to here. Leo. Sup, Leo Piano Channel. How are you? Hopefully you're well. Background color. Background opacity. Oh, okay. So that just makes it black totally. Oh, that's kind of not what I want. That's not what I want, really. I want that to, I want that to go with it. I don't want the outline size to be... That does not look good. So if I put that down... Yeah? That is not good. Can I make the opacity kind of like... Oh, that's the outline capacity. What about the background capacity just being like a little bit dark? Just to kind of help that out. Yeah, it kind of helps. If we go back to the Rolling Stone, no, it doesn't help at all. That doesn't look good. So we're just going to have to figure that out over time. So it's just with websites like that, I just got to figure out how to make it, the background go with the text. I figure there's like a way of doing it that I just haven't figured out yet. So we'll get rid of the opacity of the background part. Nothing else. Okay, so what about if I do this? Okay, it's suddenly it's like really, really big. Like, what the hell are we doing? Oh, that's really bad. It just consistently makes it like bigger now. That's not good. Custom text extents. Height. Outline color. So wraps around it. What if I make the height like 160? What if the height is like this? Okay, now it just looks kind of weird, I suppose. It just kind of, if I go back onto this. Yeah, so this is like, those are very big. So I think we're kind of getting to the limitations of the extent of this kind of like software. Chat log mode. Chat log line limit 2. Okay, so we've got 2 lines of chat and we're just going to keep talking and see if it kind of just makes itself kind of roll over itself. Hopefully it does, I don't know, but we're going to find itself. It's, no, it doesn't. It just continues to go over itself. So, oh, that's chat log mode, like it keeps the chat in your actual thing. Oh, okay. Cool. Sup, Dr. Theo? How's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully all are well. I will get into the stream in a moment. I was just wondering if I could do something about the background. Nope. We'll have a look into that as we go. We have stuff to do. You're recovering from a cold. That's not any fun. So is it like a serious cold? You just kind of feel like you kind of gotten the stuff kicked out of you. It's just uncomfortable. What's going on, man? What's happening? So we got 2 details. So what's happening here? Okay, I'm gonna like reload the Ko-fi shop because it's showing one donation, but it's saying that I have 2. Oh, so there's commissions. We are in the commissions here. Orders. Okay, never mind. So I guess I can only see Judith's here, which is fine. You sent 2. Did you send them as commissions? Because we need to send them as commissions. If you haven't sent them as commissions, I don't know where they are. We specifically the commission tab, just in future. Also, is this for 12? Then using the link. Okay. Interesting. Browser notifications are off. Okay. We'll do them, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. The link. Okay. Thank you. So they've gone through anyway. So thank you, Sweet Little Love and Dr. Theo. We will check through this stuff now. Usually I prefer people sending through 1 track at a time. So if we could please just send through one track at a time, I'd prefer people didn't just send through a whole bunch, because otherwise I might have someone send through like a half dozen, and then I'd have to do them in a row. So just in future, just one track at a time. I know it's probably annoying, but just that allows for someone to not kind of like stuff the queue of their stuff before everyone else. But I appreciate it. So we'll just do them the way they've been put through. So we've got a couple of Sweet Little Loves tracks, and then we'll get on to Dr. Theo's, and then we'll go from there. But just, yeah. I have to, when you do this stuff, when you do live streams and stuff, you learn that you'll put rules in place, and then you'll just have to continue to amend them just because, you know, like communicating and stuff and setting sort of expectations and stuff like that. It's just a thing you do over time. Thanks for your request. So what is the first track we have from Sweet Little Love today? If we go to Saving Grace on SoundCloud, we have this. Sup, Jacob? How are you doing today? Hopefully you're well. The first track today is from Sweet Little Love. And this is, well, there's two tracks again in a row. What? So why would you copy and paste that? And that is Saving Grace. None of that. There we go. Cool. Saving Grace. Let's go. Let's do it. Could probably make that a bit bigger as well. Oh, that's loud. Ooh, that hit me like a train, dude. That's gonna... There we go. That's the headphones. I like that riser though. Great transition there. Okay, so we understand what the track's about. I mean, it's a great transition to that, like, heavier section now. That did not come out well in the captions. I mean, it's just a fantastic transition to this transistor development here. Who's doing the vocals on this? Oh, hang on. I know what I can do. An a cappella track. Oh, okay, right, I get it. Cool. I like how it flowed together. I'm just gonna do something really quick, like, so I've just had a bit of a brain blast. What if I make the can I have the outline size of the text be like 15. So that's like a really intense outline. And does that work on that? It does kind of work. Oh, it does kind of work. We'll boost that up a bit more. It just needs to not. Yeah, that's a very aggressive outline now. It does work. Like you can see the text. You can see the text. It's fine. It's okay. It's better than it was. Anyways, so this track was Saving Grace and Sweet Little Love, which I presume was an original. It's about someone effectively saying, look, whenever you're going through stuff, whenever things are terrible and you're struggling, I will try to do my best to ensure that things are going to be okay, and I'll be your saving grace, etc. And I think that there's a sense of joy and romanticism and positivity about that. The energy that we got from a lot of components within this mix, such as those sort of like the heaviness of the bass and synth elements there, the constant rises pushing us up and down, almost to sort of mimic the push and pull of everyday life and how it sort of throws us around. I think that that's a really special thing. And I really appreciate what we're trying to do in regards to just keeping those energy levels up, sticking to sort of more traditional sort of major minor diatonics there, and then the harmonies. It's also just the actual fervor and energy of the actual piece as a whole, the actual use of those 16ths and 32-second notes there, the transitions between allowing there to be parts to float that sort of like sit there and simmer in the mix and are sort of catchy as hell. I think that when you have that sort of variety compositionally in the piece there, you're really trying to sort of color and sort of decorate a theme that's pretty consistent throughout the whole way. But I feel like the actual singing itself is really solid. Like, I appreciate the melodies used, the similarity of the position of our hidden chest voice there. The way we communicated those lines really clearly as well was really sort of positive. And you combine those different ingredients with the vocal performance being really sort of like caring and a little bit of vulnerability shown there, but also a sense of hope and joy from the expression. Well, not necessarily joy, but like that they sort of security that they'll be able to support that person through it, like they're calling out for them. You just have an anthemic track that hits the boxes. And if I just go through it really quickly, I mean, it's just there's just countless layers of synth leads, basses, pads, the drum parts, the various risers going up and down, etc., the bits of space. At this point in time, Sweet Little Love is very comfortable with what they're doing, and I am happy to be able to review more of this stuff, and I appreciate being able to check it out. I haven't really got any complaints about this one. I think it works really well as a concept. So cheers for that first one. It's really cool. I think we have a second track as well, though. The In the Sky hardcore mix there. So if we find this one, this will be track number 2 for today. So we've got 2 in the queue, I suppose. The hardcore mix here, if I just double check. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I'm just keeping track of the commissions here. We'll look at that there. Cool. So we've got we've got a few. Oh, we've got 3 in the queue, including this one. So there's 3. So we'll go 3. Jacob says, nice song, also reminds me of Porter Robertson's new stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I can get behind that. Has Porter Robertson made new music recently? Like, has Porter Robertson made new stuff, or are they kind of like still working on new stuff? And Dr. Theo says it's good if a bit standard EDM track. Yeah, fair. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff to appreciate here. It's getting that sort of X factor is such a subjective thing, but I think that we're ticking all the right boxes here. In the Sky hardcore mix, track number 2. And those keys though, right? Very much a staple of the genre. Real sense of joy to it. Oh. Hang on. Just realized that for some reason the previous track on SoundCloud had the title down below, but this one is now there, so that's a bit strange. If I go here... Oh, cool, there we go. We can see it now, I think. Sick. We'll do that then. Sorry about that. It's nice to allow the drums to come in a bit later on, you know? And there's so much space outside of the vocals, you know? The development of the hi-hats. Interesting use of the filter there. It's a little bit sharp. Like, we understand enough about production now to know when to go close enough to not fly too close to the sound, if that makes sense. And the riser bring it up. So this is, yeah. And allowing ourselves to an outro instrumentally. Nice. That was an interesting, I'm not necessarily sure if I'm totally vibing with the way the kind of synth rounded itself out with the oscillations at that end part. But other side, very, very, very good. I'm very happy with this one. So is this track kind of, because this is In the Sky Hardcore remix from Sweet Little Love, is this more like the feeling of someone loving you, caring about you, that sort of intimate connection? Is that inferring that this is like what it feels like to flying through the sky, feeling that good, that positive, that sort of euphoric about that situation? Is that what this track is kind of sort of discussing here? I think that if that's the case, it's fantastic. It's a beautiful track. I appreciate a few things about it, including the softness of the vocal performance here. It's very dreamlike. It's almost like the person's just kind of sitting there kind of in a really sort of happy state. They're kind of, yeah, also an a cappella track. So it's more like you're finding these songs and just putting an actual music behind it to sort of keep it together, if that makes sense. I think that it's, yeah, the technique is great, but the expression itself, I think, suits the mood of the music. There's a real sense of it being delicate, but like a delicate kind of happiness behind it with the way we're sort of communicating with the audience there. And the fact we're able to sort of like loop and sort of put those lines throughout the piece in a way that has context despite it being a longer track, is really positive. I think that the fact that we developed our drum parts as we went through the song was really good as well. We weren't just sitting there sort of with the quarter note accents there on the kicks and stuff like that. We were happy to add extra sort of hi-hat bits and other percussive elements and bits of air candy. And you just can't really assume that people are going to be happy or satisfied with that amount going on there. We need to sort of, I think, be aware that people, especially nowadays, kind of have limited attention spans. You just need, even though if people are enjoying dancing to it, it's just about sort of like being like, so okay, I was just testing to see whether it would stop. We'll move to the next thing. We just don't want to assume we have to continue to keep things interesting even when there's a great groove. Is basically what I'm trying to sort of talk about here. But it's just that trance-ish kind of that kind of synth line that kind of dances on top of it. It's got such a great energy to it, and that's not a unique thing amongst Sweet Little Love's music from all the stuff that I've reviewed from them. It's just that when you hear this, it makes you feel good because of the major leanings, the way it explores that scale there in a way where there's no rough edges. And you've got that bass coming in on the offbeat as well to kind of push things forward and add a further sense of speed to it on top of the higher tempo and everything like that. Is it going to allow me to start a new thing? Good. Good. So ultimately, I feel like the extra instrumental components, such as the way the drums are developed and sort of things are structured throughout the track, the actual main theme of the piece there with the choices of major and minor scales throughout it, keeping things relatively major thematically in order to back up what the vocalist is saying and keep that sort of well connected. But it's also just the choice of actual vocals on top of it the vocals on top of it are what sort of kind of cement it. You have that sort of dreamlike state that thing to sort of cling on to and revisit as the music is retold and rejigged throughout in a way that is still sort of like cohesive. So thank you to Sweet Little Love for putting through these tracks today. I mean, like I'm sort of like trying to sort of talk about three things I like. The production is also really solid across these. It's just a thing with Sweet Little Love stuff now where I have no real complaints about the music at this point. You're covering the fundamentals and beyond that. It's very good. I would be more likely to talk about something I didn't like, but both of these tracks are well handled here. And you're welcome, Sweet Little Love. Good on you for continuing to produce stuff, and for sharing it. Thank you for sharing it. Thanks for sharing these songs. I'm just putting a nice little message on the Ko-fi thing as a reply to it. But yeah, that's cool. So there's Sweet Little Love's tracks done for today, both of them, In the Sky as well as Saving Grace. And thank you, Dr. Theo. I appreciate it. I not always that good at explaining stuff, but music's one of those things where it kind of comes across okay, apparently, so it's good. So we've got two more tracks at the moment, two more requests at this point in time, from what I can tell. We have them from... Oh, we have a few. We have a few. So we have Dr. Theo Jacob Good. We have two from Leo, and then we have Carl B. Anderson. So there's quite a few to do today. We will go to the next one, which is Dr. Theo. So that's cool. And what does Dr. Theo have for us today? That makes 5. This is what happens when you actually are semi-consistent, I think, is that people realize you're actually going to be live. And people sort of like want to know they can come along and sort of request stuff if they want. Thank you to Dr. Theo. It says, saw this guy live last year and it was a great show. He showed off all his albums and the light show was absolutely amazing. Description of the songs taken from Genius. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to check this out now, Dr. Theo. So this is... hey, it's Porter Robertson. Knock yourself out, XD. That's cool. Let's do it. Get to check out some Porter Robertson, dude. Be good. Let's go. Theater mode. Yep.
I threw my phone into the sea. Simple human being. Wouldn't know how to brush my teeth without asking my team. Living in the afterlife.
Grey arms.
Knock yourself out.
It's such a gentle song. Because of the use of like the pads and the melodies and the actual theme, the minor leaning in that last part, adding a sense of romanticism to it, or like makes it kind of seem a little bit sentimental.
Don't know my schedule on the 5th. Bitch, I'm Taylor Swift. Got 100 million on my wrist. Physically sick. And at the airport, I'm sorry, can I get a pic? Telling me a sad story. Another reason not to quit. And I'm everything you talk about. Why should you keep letting yourself be let down? If I'm everything you talk about, I'm in the mirror, baby, let it all out. Knock yourself out.
I mean, I think I get what this track is about. I appreciate Dr. Theo putting an explanation as well in the message.
I wear a big smile, got a drink in my hand, and got a face tattoo. I'm not making me laugh, and got it. Hold on, take it back again, and I got a brand new feeling in the back of my head. I wear a big smile, got a drink in my hand, and drive a new Bugatti, not in the Mercedes Benz. Got it. Hold on, take it back again, and I got a brand new feeling in the back of my head.
So this is an interesting track. Oh, is that it? Crazy. Look at that team to make that video. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's so many people involved in this. Like when you get to that level that Porter's at, there's just so many people to help you, and it's like a positive feedback thing where like you get more successful, you have more support. Ironically, I think this track is kind of talking about the fact that it's talking about how people see Porter Robertson and people's perceptions of him versus how he is, and just kind of maybe him sort of accepting. This is my own sort of interpretation, by the way, like from what I heard from the song. It might not have everything Dr. Theo's spoken about here. But I just wanted to sort of have a go at it myself. It's just about someone. It's about him in his position as a professional musician, looking at how people see him, saying, you know, knock yourself out, think whatever you want. It's just what it is, you know. And I think that that's kind of cool to discuss, you know, like people being sort of self-aware about how they present themselves and how people see about them. I think as fans will be able to relate to it maybe because they'll see something they see in them, or they'll maybe reflect on how they view them. And I think that's a kind of a sort of a cool thing to talk about. It's a very sort of like human experience there, I suppose, an extent, you know. I just don't think we as people who are not massively successful musicians, I don't think we can necessarily appreciate what they are going through, and vice versa. When you get to that point, it's difficult to understand what your fans are going through, etc. But it's just trying to sort of like find an understanding and be accepting of whatever happens, I suppose, to an extent. But I think one of the things I appreciate is about how kind Porter Robertson is throughout this entire track. He's just so gentle and his tone is so forgiving. The melodies that he sings are really sort of like sweet in the minor and major scales. They harmonize neatly with the rest of the elements within this track. And I appreciate the way that we just approach that. Again, I know the vocals are a focal point of the mix. By chance, could I request a song beside PayPal? I don't have PayPal, sorry. Yeah, it's just tricky. Because I PayPal is kind of the way I take international transactions at this point. Through like this kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, you'd probably either... Yeah, so I'm not accepting super chats at this point for the song requests. I'm just not sure how to do it. I respect that you don't have a PayPal and that you may not want one. No, I don't have Cash App. Sorry, man. I don't even know if we have Cash App in New Zealand. I'm not sure if we have that because I live in New Zealand, so I don't know if we have Cash App. I've just never checked. But I've also just kind of kept it to PayPal, just because it's just worked until now, which is fine. I'm sorry. I wish I could review it. I know that not everyone has access to PayPal. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would do Cash App if I could, because just managing the transactions in two different places at once might just be a little bit tricky. But yeah, either way, again, apologies for the inconvenience and thanks for coming into the live stream. If you do get access to PayPal at some point, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, no, it's cool. And it's just something I kind of need to do is just go through PayPal. I get it. Cash App's easier for a lot of people. It's just not something I have access to. But thanks for your time. So I like the vocals in this. I think they're well handled. I also appreciate the kind of the beauty of those actual synth parts. It's gorgeous how things are balanced in that respect. I think it's tricky to really be gentle unless you have both the vocals and the instrumental backing combined, kind of spelling that. And I think if you listen through this track here, just a really soft pads there, the sweetness with those harmonies, the triads there, the bass line with the 808, being a relatively gentle bass line as well, with little distortion or anything like that. The drums have a sort of a hip-hopish, rapish, sort of like trappish kind of like extent to them, but they're kind of short and there's no harsh edges to those. And there's like some interesting sort of distorted or kind of grainy sort of like leads at certain points, but they never sort of like kind of get too harsh or whatever. It's simply trying to be patient, I think, with the world instrumentally. Finally, I think what's done really well here is the actual I'll have to do super chats at a later date. It won't be today. I kind of have to figure out how it works. It's tricky because like I don't want to charge people more for super chat because I don't want to do PayPal. Because I feel like everyone should be able to pay the same amount. But I also would rather get the most of the cut from a transaction like that, if that makes sense. Because I know that YouTube takes a big percentage of it, whereas Ko-fi takes like, I don't know, 5% or like 10% of it. It's just a tricky situation. I don't know. I'll ever think about it. But for now, just for today, it's PayPal. Yeah. So YouTube take a lot from super chats. It's literally also that I find it easier just to manage through Ko-fi. Ko-fi literally has all my commissions there. It has all them in a stack, and I just go through the stack, and it's just nice and easy to sort of get through them one by one. So that's kind of why I go through it. Whereas if I did like Ko-fi and YouTube, I'd have two different stacks to go to. I'd have to also create a custom list to sort of manage. I'd have to create a custom list to manage the requests from the super chat as well. It's a bit more complicated. So I'll think on it, but it's just for the short future, it's probably just going to be PayPal oriented, just because that seems to work at this point. But I also respect, again, some people don't like to use PayPal. It's easy to use other ones. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's most people. I think people who are doing pay requests on YouTube, they're trying to make it the most efficient and easiest way possible for people to request stuff. Chris stuff, and just at the moment I've just gotten as far as doing it via Ko-fi and PayPal. If I find another way of doing it, I'll do it that way. But yeah, but I appreciate your time. Thanks for answering the question. It's good. This is good stuff for anyone else who's curious, so I appreciate it. I think finally with this track, Knock Yourself Out, it's just the quality of the production itself. It's not just that you've chosen instruments which suit the expression of the vocals and everything like that. It's that you have a really sort of like, it sounds really polished. Everything is nice and clean sounding. There's no resonant frequencies. Just you can hear everything clearly. It's nice and loud, but it's not abrasive. It's not sort of pushed too much in the limiter. It's just everything is really sort of like sweet sounding from like actual post-production EQing sort of like perspective. Thank you. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come along, and I appreciate your support. Yeah, you make sure to have a good day. You can hang around if you want. You can chat, or you can come to the next live stream. Either way, hope things go well. That goes for everyone else watching this live stream as well. Things are chill. But yeah, I feel like that's basically my comments on this track. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, so I literally have turned off super chats because I don't know what I want to do with them at this point. And I had people put through super chats earlier on when I started doing these, and it just made it complicated. So I've tried to sort of remove the risk of people putting through something and then having to either refund it or go, we can't do it that way. But I appreciate you trying to put the super chat forward. It's cool. But yeah, thank you to Dr. Theo for that request to Porter Robertson, Knock Yourself Out. That was cool. Yeah. Sup, Zach? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, it's just been a lot of thinking. It's just trying to make these the most efficient, so like easy, kind of like to access, and it's kind of like, because again, like it's not ideal for a lot of people, I assume, to have to go outside of YouTube to do it. It would be easier if I did super chats, but it's just trying to find a way where it's easier for me as well as the people that I'm sort of doing this with, such as yourselves, you know. So thank you for that, though, Theo. I appreciate it. We have 5 tracks to go. From Jacob. So this is Jacob's one. So Jacob, thanks for your request. I wonder what Jacob has for us today. What track? I'm having to use a cup today because I spilt my water bottle over my keyboard, and it's actually for the best because the keyboard that I was using is a very clicky keyboard, and now I don't have that at all, which is awesome. It's actually very quiet now, so the audio quality, ironically, is probably better because there's less clicky clackies. But what has Jacob got? So this is In the Airplane, Neutral. Oh wow, that is Neutral Air Milk Hotel. In the aeroplane over the sea. Yeah. So let's do it, Jacob. So again, what I've forgotten to do after saying I would do it last time is if you guys request a track, if you could please let me know what you like about it. Just because it's good to hear. We have listened to these guys before, haven't we?
What a beautiful face I have found in this place that is circling all around the sun.
Yeah, I thought we'd listen to some. Thank you, Zach.
What a beautiful dream that could flash on the screen in a blink of an eye and be gone from me. Soft and sweet, let me hold it close and keep it here with me.
I like the raw vocal performance.
And one day we will die and our ashes will fly from the aeroplane over the sea. But for now we are young, let us lay in the sun.
Get the album art up on the screen as well so you can see it.
We can see love to be in the arms of all I'm keeping here with me.
It's great to go into a trumpet solo. Nice adjustment with the lead.
What a curious life we have found here tonight. There is music that sounds from the street. There are lights in the clouds and there's ghosts all around. Hear a voice as it's rolling and ringing through me. Soft and sweet, how the notes all bend and reach above the tree.
Same, Leo. It's a good vibe.
Now how I remember you, how I would push my fingers through your mouth to make those muscles move. You made your voice so smooth and sweet, but now we keep where we don't know. All secrets sleep in winter clothes with one you love so long
Well, there's a little bit of chaos there going on instrumentally.
What a beautiful face I have found in this place that is circling
Theremin?
all around the sun. And when we meet on a cloud, I'll be laughing out loud. I'll be laughing with everyone I see. Can't believe how strange it is to be anything at all.
So this is just a really intriguing song. A really intriguing song. So this is In the Aeroplane Over the Sea from Neutral Milk Hotel, requested by Jacob. What do I think this track is about? I think that there Anna's ghost all around here, her voices are rolling ring with through me, soft and sweet, how the notes will bend and reach across the street. So I think maybe this is like a talking about our life and death, the journey that we have here. Maybe Anna is a person that they used to know and their spirit is still with them, and maybe they're celebrating the joy of their life. How I would push my fingers through your mouth to make those muscles move that made your voice so sweet, smooth and sweet. I'm not really sure how to take that. I'm wondering whether we want to sort of keep that person alive or whether we wanted them to sort of like, I'm not sure. Is Anna related to that? All secrets sleep when winter clothes the ones you loved so long ago. Now I don't even know his name. I'm wondering if it's sort of looking at like the ins and outs of life around the people around them, sort of like those are meant to them. And they talk about at the end of it, kind of looking back on how strange it is that we were anything at all. Pondering our existence, maybe like an existential kind of conversation like that. Either way, I thought it was kind of like, it was a really great song to listen to. Part of it was that it was such a fantastic storyteller's voice from the vocalist. It's so easy to listen to him. It's so raw and unfiltered, but not in the way that is unkind. It's so like effortless in regards to the fact you can just hear them on the mic, sort of strumming their guitars. It's just a folk tale and looking back, an examination over things, both sort of figurative and maybe literal. And it's mature and it's introspective and it's just sung in a way where it's really palatable with everything else going in there and the composition as well. You mean you listen to it, you've got like a mixture of like theremins and like basses and drums and those strummed acoustic guitars which are pushed. Like it's not a really clean sounding performance from a production perspective, which I think is intentional, because if they'd sterilized and overproduced this like a pop single, I think it would have sounded maybe a little bit less kind of grounded. Arguably. It's just I like the rough, the raw, the gritty tone of it kind of makes it sort of seem like it's people kind of in their sort of like garage, just sort of examining their own experiences and discussing them with music. And I kind of like how intimate that is. But just the vocals on top of that was sung well, and almost like again, like almost like a there's a musician that I'm thinking of, Bob Dylan-esque kind of way. And I like that, sort of like that approach to it. I think it's cool. But yeah, no, the instrumental performances from the actual choice of instruments, like the guitars, the strummed guitar parts there, how relatively neutral they were with the majors and minors. I like a kind of a wholesomeness to the tone there with the bass rounding out the root notes. The kind of scratchiness of those drum parts there with the brushes there that never sort of like pushed too hard. The occasional kind of glitchy, uncomfortable textures there, almost like we were going through something where we had to sort of stitch things together in order for it to make sense. The trumpet, though, almost like we were celebrating a life that was lost, or like a kind of a funeral call or something like that, or like a last stand or something. But it was like a kind of a weird, kind of joyful affair where it was in a major scale, and it sounded like very loving, like we were kind of trumpeting an appreciation for our own existence in a sense, even if it was strange. And I like the fact that it doesn't try to overtake the vocalist as a lead instrument. It's more sort of like just an alternative voice to listen to within it. When you put those together with the spooky sounding theremin with this almost like a ghostly texture that just is nice and resonant in the mid to high range, you just have a really interesting acoustic performance that ticks all the boxes and remains intriguing throughout it, that short form factor. And I think finally the production quality, studio time of it is great because we didn't overcomplicate the production process. We recorded people and they just sound we're playing their instruments, and we weren't trying to sort of like do too much in regards to panning or the filtering or the EQing. And it just made it more authentic, I think, because of that. It kind of matches the aesthetic of that album art there, where, you know, there's a bit of kind of like, there's almost like a vintage aesthetic to it. And I don't think you could have done it better. Honestly, I just feel like the choice to kind of keep things a bit more sort of like lo-fi was smart. It seemed stylistically cohesive, and it was just nice and pleasant to listen to. So thank you to Jacob for putting this track forward from an accident neutral Milk Hotel, titled In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. I'll just have a read through the note there. Jacob says this album and song was legendary among the indie folk scene for over 2 decades. While it's speaking about Anne Frank from World War II, I think it applies to the loss of a loved one just as well. There you go. So I'm glad that I picked up on that. Thank you for that clarification, Jacob. I appreciate it. But that's cool. That was Jacob's track here. It is kind of wild that we exist. It's kind of crazy that we exist in this world. Now, we actually do have a few tracks here from Leo. Thank you to Leo for that. I appreciate it. So what has Leo got for us today? Leo's first track of today is Hua Xin Yu Aliens. Oh, so we're gonna have some Hua Xin Yu time. That's cool. I don't mind Hua Xin Yu time. Hua Xin Yu time's good. From the 2015 album, Hua Xin Yu Aliens. Oh, okay. Have we listened to this one before? Because I feel like we've done a lot of Hua Xin Yu, haven't we? I don't mind doing a lot of Hua Xin Yu. It's just, yeah, I feel like we've listened to this one before. Thank you nonetheless. I could have sworn that this was like better. Yeah, what's going on with my Spotify? This is very weird. I'm gonna kick my own butt for this later on because I had it sort of specifically designed to sort of, if I go out of this, you can see the art there, album and Plane Over the Sea. Oh, I get it, because it's not, it's because I have this as like the bigger thing for some reason. But that's very weird. What is happening with the, we will get to the track in a moment. I'll actually go, I have been listening to it. I just want to sort of like fix this. So we're going to get that so that it's here. There we go. So that's big enough on the screen. Let's continue. Because some people like Hua Xin Yu, and that is okay. I like the vocal fry though. I think that's really good though. Fry. Vocal fry. There you go. Who is doing the rapping vocals in this? Is this Hua Xin Yu or someone else? That's pretty crazy, man. great to the backing parts as well. Oh, I'm moving into some piano-oriented stuff at the end. That's cool. So that was Hua Xinyu with the track Alien. Now, Leo Piano Channel says the song is about how a lot of people treat him as an alien, and he expresses that it doesn't matter, he just writes the songs he wants. So with that premise, let's discuss this track. So what do we think that this song is about? I think that, or rather, what do I think that I like about the track after what it's about, should I say? I'm so used to going through it that my brain just auto-defaulted. So one thing I liked about it is the animosity. The animosity, the sheer kind of, with the rapped components in those verse parts. I agree that there could have been more grittiness to it. Absolutely, Jacob. I feel like this is a good effort, though. I think that it balances the cleaner tones of those sung vocals in other tracks with a bit of the vocal fry in the chorus. There is nice contrast, like to the extent, like I didn't know that it was him rapping those verse parts in the vocals. I was legitimately, like, again, not that I mind, it sounded like someone else was doing it. So if he's got that kind of flexibility in the way that he communicates, it expresses himself, that's just fantastic, and it just showcases his talent there. In addition to that, I think that another thing I appreciate is the use of the distorted guitars, the kind of time is running out sort of tone of those ticking piano parts there with the sort of electronic sort of like percussive layers that we had in certain parts there. You have those kind of wow, go slidey elements there. You also have the whoa, those kind of crowd chants there, almost sort of making it sound like it's final battle music there, with a minor leaning towards a lot of it. Even though we're trying to accept the fact that this person, we were trying to accept what people think, we were also letting, again, people know that we don't care, and that music is sort of affronting without being too harsh because of that. I think the use of like electronic and percussive layers with the acoustic percussive layers of the drum kit makes it sort of sound a bit more sort of like rockish and grounded as well. So I think that's the final thing. I appreciate the tones of the instruments as well as like the power chord elements with the guitar parts, the rhythms there. The string sections adding a little bit of kind of animosity and kind of like drama to it as well with the way they kind of go in line with those guitar parts. There's just choices within the individual capacity of the certain components that make it sound more like an overall theme, but it's like the mixture of them that is special. But it's also the production value of it, where we knew what types of instruments to use to get the sort of tone to fit stylistically with the genre we're doing, whilst keeping things sounding reasonably contemporary and flexible with his rich sort of his normal stuff to his others. Like I know he does a lot of different stuff, but I just appreciate that he can be sort of like, he's singing in a lot of different ways, that he allowed the guitars, the sort of rocky kind of like, sort of like elements there to kind of suggest a sense of intensity towards it. Might not have been carried otherwise. And for there to be almost an industrial feel with it, it kind of reminds me of early sort of Linkin Park with the instrumental parts, not the vocals, but the instrumental parts kind of, especially at the end part with like the piano here, kind of remind me a little bit like the early Linkin Park stuff. Yeah, there you go, Joy and Joe. Absolutely. It does kind of remind me of early 2000s music, alternate rock and stuff like that. And you're welcome, Leo Piano Channel. Now, Joy and Joe, you asked about the tattoos on my right arm. So at the moment, I've got this. So it's like a guitar with drumsticks, and it's got like the scales, like treble and then bass clef. You got like piano down here. And it's also a guitar, bass, and ukulele because it has the 4 strings. Because those are the 5 instruments I play. I play guitar, bass, drums, ukulele, and piano. And then I've also got like little, like these are other parts of like things I like. Like I got my big mixing disc that I like here. And I've got like the Mesa Boogie, like the triple rectifier that was like a dream amp for when I was a kid. And these are all settings for various preset like plugins that I have, audio plugins. I've also got like my very first multi-effects guitar pedal here. So that was my ME50 that I got. And then I've also got my very first distortion pedal, my very first, that's going to be a pink one. They're like dials and knobs. And so I'm actually getting more work done. In a few weeks' time, there'll be like an effects rack over here. There'll be like kind of like a bracelet kind of thing with like an EQ curve thing over here. And then I'm also going to get my automaton here. I'll get that in a moment. Here. I'm going to get this guy. Don't know if you guys know what an automaton is. It's an automaton. I'm going to get that elbow. My elbow is going to be an automaton. And I'm going to get that to go up the back of my arm down there. So it's going to be a full sleeve. And then, once I've done that, I'm going to get like a big speaker with like the sun here, like a sun with like a big subwoofer on my shoulder. And then the left arm is going to be probably done next year. And I'm going to be getting gaming stuff because basically I do my music stuff during the day as a job. And then I've got my like gaming stuff that I do at nighttime. And there's just going to be lots of different things that I like from gaming, like Bloodborne and Guardians Crusade and other games that I really appreciate. And so it's just going to be more like a kind of a mosaic thing on this arm of different games and stuff that I like. And there'll probably be like a Pokeball thing as well on my arm there, except Pokemon's like my favorite game. And I'll have like the moon, you know. So yeah, those are going to be my tattoos, and those are going to be done at a later stage. But this arm's going to be done this year. So like we're still looking for a house, but I want to get a house this year. And once we get that, like we're close to getting one, we're just kind of like finalizing some stuff. Arm, and then get this arm done, and then get this done next year. So we good. But thank you. Oh yeah, Pokemon's awesome, man. I love my Pokemon, eh? I love my Pokemon. It's good games. A lot of I played them since like Red and Blue because I'm, you know. When am I getting my Carl Lanston Hillbilly Heaven tattoo? I'm not sure, Fortnite Sweats. I'm not sure. I kind of feel like I'm already running out of room with my right arm, and this one's meant to be the music one. We'll see how we go, though. It's good. How you doing, Carl? You doing all right? You been taking care of yourself? I don't know who Linda Ronstadt is. I'm not sure who they are. So if you request it, it might be good. I just don't know who they are. So that was Leo's request though of aliens. So we checked through that. That was really cool. So we got that ticked off. Here we are. We got another track from Leo though after that. So this is Hua Xin Yu, Why Nobody Fight. So this is their second track. And then I think we got yours, Carl. Yes. So you can see here. Hang on, we'll go back. The queue is open. So if I go open. So as long as the queue is still open, we're good to do more. There's probably a few tracks in the queue now. So I'm going to try and get through them at a reasonable pace whilst also doing them properly. But it's good to be chatting to people. It's nice to be talking to people. And thanks for the feedback on the tattoo. And yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about the new Pokemon game. I really hope it's good though. I really hope so. I'm kind of concerned though, because Game Freak haven't always been reliable recently anyways. So yeah, this is Why Nobody Fights by Hua Xin Yu. Thank you to Leo for this request. Fantastic development of the vocals here.
Why nobody fights? Why nobody fights? Why nobody fights? Why nobody fights? Why nobody fights?
Sup, Blue Dinner Box, welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. How's it going?
Why nobody fights? 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 Why nobody fights?
See, I was thinking, what's he gonna do there with that vocal take? Because he sounds like he's kind of stuck on that note. But then he just goes higher and he rolls it off. That's fantastic. Good effort. Really cool outfit as well, though. I like the jeans. I like the jeans he's wearing there. That's a beautiful song. I like the development overall. It's his first song. That's crazy. So was it released? Was that the first one he released? Oh no, so it was released a couple of years ago. It's great that he had the opportunity to be able to flesh it out and release it in his current state. Because he's doing very well for himself at this point. So I think that this track, Why Nobody Fight. I mean, we had notes from Leo here. Hua Xinyu wrote his first ever song, Why Nobody Fights, which is inspired by a most unlikely source. The inspiration for the song came after watching a soccer match during his travels in Europe. He wanted to dedicate the song to his audience to encourage them to be true to themselves. There's only one sentence in the whole song. There is. So I think that's basically what it's about. It's about... I think the video is also trying to communicate not to get bogged down or broken by the people around you, which I think is a beautiful message to have. There's enough people who are just bullies because they're insecure in the world. We just need to try to be the best version of ourselves we can, and we need to just remember that we're loved. Oh, so he's just put his YouTube channel up recently. That's good. I'm glad that he has a YouTube channel. It makes it easier for people to find his stuff, and I'm glad that he's finding subscribers, and I wish him the best. He's a great musician. So aside from that, what I appreciate is the simplicity of the message. I think that what kind of works best in this sort of orient is that you had the video kind of telling you the story as you go. The audio visual experience from the music video alone is really solid. You kind of, it's like, why nobody fights? It's like, yeah, why does nobody fight? Why does nobody fight? And you're finding yourself asking questions as you watch it and you learn more. And it's really solid on that front. No complaints at all about the way they approached it. It's really well handled. In addition to that, you have a song where there's just a general sort of like, it's very similar to the Porter Robertson track there. We have almost like a Coldplay-ish kind of slow burn, the build of like the different guitar parts, the bass and drums. Except it's like marching drums, almost like we're marching towards a different future or something like that, which I kind of appreciate. The use of the delays and reverbs on the guitar parts, with like really kind of like pretty uh, octave chords and like melodies that kind of pedal between each other, but not at the start. It comes in later on. You add more as you go along. We begin with just Why Shouldn't You by themselves, but that more and more comes along. The actual the development of it is so gradual, but by the end it goes from like this, with the choir going behind us as well, just fleshing out the track in the stereo field, which I think is really positive. And a lot of the color through this does come from the vocal harmonies, which I think is just another thing. We're not just telling a story, we're allowing the voices to be its own instrument, you know? And so there are those leads that I'm talking about. But for it to kind of only come in like maybe 2.5 minutes later is a really bold move. Nowadays, a lot of listeners, I think they typically, if we're just taking it from the way music has been written nowadays in a lot of situations, people are perceivably or like there's an expectation that you want your stuff immediately, that you might not want to wait too long with it. But here we're showing patience as a composer, and it pays off with that build up till the end. But just as that constant iteration of that vocal melody, that the harmonies there, you know, it's just a really fantastic sort of melody with the loop there being very satisfying when it goes back to itself. And the instruments are respectful of that and never sort of like overcolor it or discolor it. There's no weird harsh edges or uncomfortable points there. And works. So it's traditionally sort of like mixes with the diatonics, which are nice. And even though there's a bit of vocal fry occasionally in certain parts there, it's just, yeah, it's tonally very sort of like tonally effective. The studio production is my third thing. I love the way things are leveled in this mix. I like the use of dynamic range. I like the fact that it grows. You could hear the track come to life as more things are added. I like the fact that they knew how to niche things within the frequency spectrum and stereo field. And it's just really, it's commercial grade, great polish to it, very easy to listen to. So it's a really good song. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you to Leo for this request as well for Why Nobody Fights from Why Shouldn't You. It's great to hear that music. Hua said he used to hate study music until he knew how to express himself through music. Well, I'm glad that he learned how to do that. I think that as a music teacher, having taught for 14 years, the mistake you can make, especially when you start out with teaching, is just giving people information without considering if they'll care about it. That puts off a lot of people from music, I think. You have to try and give information that people care about, otherwise they won't. And I'm glad that Hua Xinyu was able to find the information they needed, that they wanted, that made their life with music a lot better. I think it's just a great message there, relatively simple structurally, but very effective. And now, after Leo's picks, we have Carl Anderson's request. So what does Carl Anderson have for us today? I should note, I've reviewed quite a bit of Carl Anderson stuff, which I've enjoyed my time with, I think. If I'm not mistaken, and immediately speaking out of turn, I have listened to Hillbilly Heaven, and it was an interesting album. I'd recommend checking out that stuff if you're interested in some really cool music. I don't feel the need to say that. I'm just saying that because I mean it. We've got Peter Gabriel, Rhythm of the Beat. Let's do it. It's got the YouTube link as well. Thank you for that. Let's get started. Oh no, it's not available. Gabriel wrote this after reading a book by Carl Jung and his travels in Africa. I think the arrangement is fairly unique for a Western pop rock musician. So apparently I can't watch this. I'm not allowed. I'm in New Zealand and they don't let me see it. I'm going to watch this. No. It is now working, apparently. Incredible atmosphere immediately.
Looking out the window, I see the red dust clear. High up on the red rock stands the shadow with the spear.
It's so intense.
The land here is strong, strong beneath my feet. It feeds on the blood, it feeds on the heat. The rhythm is below me, the rhythm of the heat. The rhythm is around me, the rhythm has control. The rhythm is inside me. The rhythm has my soul.
The dynamic range to this, though. The sound design to it as well, the way things are panned.
Drawn across the plain land to the place that is higher. Drawn into the circle, the dancers round the fire. We spit into our hands and breathe across the palms, raising them up high, held open to the sun. Drawn across the plain land to the place that is higher. Drawn into the circle, the dancers round the fire. We spit into our hands and breathe across the palms, raising them up high, held open to the sun. Self-conscious, uncertain, I'm showered with the dust. The spirit enters into me and I submit to trust. Smash the radio, smash the watch, smash the camera. The rhythm is around me, the rhythm has control, the rhythm is inside me. The rhythm has my soul.
And just how he's calling out, and just how well that's balanced within the mix. Polyrhythms? Polymeter? Just seeing him have that experience. Just seeing him have that experience is wild, dude. Wow, that was spectacular. I haven't listened to a lot of Peter Gabriel, but honestly, like I would like to listen to more. So for nothing else, thank you to Fortnite Sweats, Carl B. Anderson for putting that track through. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. So what is this song about? I think this track is, in addition to what we've been sort of like advised about Gabriel wrote this after reading a book by Charles Jung and his travels in Africa. I think it's about being sort of like the rhythm, the music kind of entering our soul and kind of possessing us and being sort of overwhelmed by the rhythm of the groove there, the intensity of the experience there. It's an incredible time. It is very unique amongst a lot of composition, and I think this is why you hear people talk about the time when music was released like this being some of the one of the at least one of the golden periods of modern music because of the flexibility and the diversity of the influences that were put through. I think that the actual track is sung incredibly well by Gabriel, but not for like more of a sort of like he can sing and solid vocal technique kind of thing. It's more like you have him so you can kind of imagine the way he's talking, the ways the whispers, the way things are going. You can kind of imagine him if you close your eyes going through that experience. It's like he's there having it. It's a very kind of intense thing where he brings you into his world through the delivery of those lines, those words. The melody, yeah, it sounds cool and it's technically sound, but it's just also how intoxicating it is, and then it enters his soul, and then it comes away again, and then suddenly the second time round, you just see him having that experience with all the drumming going around and the music just affecting him like that. Exactly, it's tribalism, a spiritual feeling. Thank you, I appreciate that, and so that's effectively it. But it's just how he sells it. It's just how it's communicated is what I appreciate about the vocals in this specifically. Yes, we can sing well and we can communicate. Absolutely. Incredible. So phenomenal vocalist and performer. But it's just also the use of less, the space in here, the just having just the vocals in certain parts, where in a lot of music you might be sort of paranoid about having a lack of that. It sounded like things had come to a close at the 3 minutes because I am trained as a listener to expect songs to end when things get quiet. But then you look at it and it's like 3 minutes, it's like, oh no, this isn't over. What's going to happen next? And that's thoroughly inspired. You go back into it and it builds. You get the kind of whispers and stuff like that, and you can hear little bits and pieces, and then you're brought in again. So not only structurally is it incredibly fascinating, it's also just compositionally transcendent in the sense that it really does kind of like present an alternative to needing to fill songs with instruments and layers to keep it compelling, where less is more. Less is more here. It's incredibly atmospheric, how quiet it is. Because that's the final thing I want to sort of speak about. Because there's just so many cool things. I could go on with this track about for an hour, but the final sort of main thing I want to discuss is the actual studio production, the quality of that. Allowing ourselves to kind of balance things so effectively at the end when you had all those different percussive elements and sort of like, you like if you go back to it, yeah, the boom, that kind of bass there, that's so ominous. And you have those little inferences throughout, almost like there's a sense of danger with being overwhelmed, like it, that we fall into it at the end. But it's like, it's just so, the mixing and mastering is this commercial grade, but it's then the dynamic range of everything's so quiet that initially I was like, is this track not mixed and mastered properly because of the fact that it is so quiet? I thought the video just was uploaded with a lower volume, but no, it's just a tremendous amount of difference between the lowest and highest points. It's just sensational. It's like a live performance in your headphones. It's mind-blowing. It's just so, it's really meant to be cinematic. And I mean, I could also talk about the phenomenal use of polyrhythms with the music, especially when things, it had a kind of a feel that you kind of go along with. And then suddenly, oh, we're bringing some other sort of like way of segmenting and kind of like compartmentalizing that groove and all this. And there's all these other sort of incredible rhythmical elements there, as well as but it's just the contrast there in regards to instrumental production, the the quality, the authenticity of the vocal performance that really sells it. So thank you to Carl for putting this amazing track through from Peter Gabriel, titled Rhythm of the Heat. You guys loved it. You guys loved it. Thank you, by the way, for your request, Zach. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys liked it too. And I get the feeling he is absolutely class. I'm going to check out some more in my own time if I get the chance. There's all these musicians I have not listened to that you guys bring forward. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to check them out. We have 5 requests to go. Now, I am actually, how are we doing? We've done a few today, haven't we? We've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've done a lot. So I've actually done a lot of requests today. I'm going to probably close the queue after the last one, though. So if there is a request you want in, it might be wise to get that in before the next one, okay? And I did. I loved it. One of my favorite things every week is getting to listen to new music. Because you might think that it's easy for me to do that when I do it as a job, you know, reviewing new music and stuff. But I don't. There's a difference between. There's just a difference in the kind of music that gets put through here versus the stuff I hear through like the videos I do through like Fiverr and otherwise. I like both. Don't get me wrong for the most part, but there's just different types, and I appreciate the diversity there. And it's just also genuinely good to hang out and chat with people. So I've got this here. Oh, so this is from Leo. This is I Really Want Myself Back. Apparently this is, yeah. We can start at 5:39. Where is 5:39? Let's do it, Leo. Let's listen to this, eh? What do we got? Oh, so we got Hua Xinyu, lyricist Pei Yu, arrangers Bernard Jing, Hua Xinyu, and then producer Bernard Jing. Cool.
我想说，却在开口的时候变沉默。这世界有神秘又赤裸，我该要怎么做？新的未来才会兑现承诺。
Those upper octaves are gorgeous.
会让人更焦灼。 太多爱的名义奔赴在我的领地，那些只言片语戳中我的心。太多童话梦境出现在我的回忆，就像唯一稻草围住我的心。曾经我悲观、孤单、遗憾、不堪、感叹、疲倦、辗转难安、看淡、释然、放慢、长叹、期盼、远看、了断、勇敢。
Oh, that bass entrance though.
一半混乱，一半简单，一半很难，全都与你无关。
And the softness of that guitar lead is gorgeous.
想太多，站在人群之中茫然失措，没什么凝聚下的寂寞。有我的节奏，删了所有哪怕不属于我，请别再说你何必这样活。 太多爱的名义奔赴在我的领地，那些只言片语戳中我的心。太多童话梦境出现在我 回忆抖擞，飞出我的心。曾经我悲观、孤单、遗憾、不堪、感叹。
There's also the tightness of the backing vocals and how they all are so rhythmically in sync.
期盼远看了断，勇敢一半明白，一半混乱，一半简单，一半很难，全都与你无关。
I mean, it looks like it's definitely affecting him emotionally. Great major lift in that last part.
孤单、遗憾、不堪、感叹、疲倦、辗转、难安、看淡、释然、放慢、长叹、期盼、远看了断、勇敢，一半明白，一半混乱，一半简单，一半很难。就算与你有关。 但我会向前看。
That got me. That got me a little bit. That got me a little bit, Terry, that time. That was heavy. You could tell before the guitar solo that it was starting to affect him. And then like during the guitar solo, he was kind of tearing up. And then for him to go into that last part and really put his heart out. It's just beautiful, man. It's what you want from musicians, is just for them to sort of like show that feeling, unless it's explicitly about the kind of confidence and things being sort of like chill. And when they're going through stuff, you want to be able to believe it, you know? And they handle that here. So Leo Piano Channel says, it was written during one of the toughest times of his life. And I'm sorry that he had to go through that. I think this track is about someone who is just really sort of struggling with their own perception of themselves, what they're going through, and they want to get back to a point where things were normal. And it's just so difficult for things to get back to the way they were. And at the end, when he's crying, it affects him, and you could tell that he just has to keep moving forward no matter what, but you could tell that he's gone through it. And I can understand that it's very emotional. I think anyone who has a sense of empathy or who has ever gone through a difficult time can listen to this and genuinely, sincerely relate to it. And I appreciate that a lot. I think from a storytelling perspective alone, it was done in a way where it wasn't generic, because there's ways to do it in a way that's generic, or you can just not really sell it. But they did so here. I'm thankful that Huaxi and you sung it the way they did and told it the way they did. What I appreciated was, again, so that would be the authenticity, the actual performance itself, the fact they really sounded like some of the words were struggling to get out. And that's a kind of a weird compliment to give, because it infers that that was something they did deliberately, and it wasn't. That's just one thing I appreciate, is that they put their heart on their sleeve. And those last few notes, when they went up into their top of range, when they started getting a little bit more sort of like intense at that mid-range, you had that build over time. But it's just allowing themselves to like let go and be human. It's fantastic. Really fantastic vocal performance here. Stellar in terms of expression as well as his technique as well. And handling it whilst they're feeling upset is difficult, but they smashed it. I think another thing I appreciated is the fact that they had a guitar solo. And that is simply because you have the inference of these guitar leads throughout the track at various points, but eventually you get to a stage where they're really kind of like just allowing themselves to kind of just slam it out, man. Just get that really kind of pretty melodic phrasing there. Fantastic, across that minor key and scale there. It makes sense there. Minors and majors anyways, because you have that phenomenal lift later on when we go into almost like a major kind of key there, and we're still struggling through stuff It's as if we're trying to the guitar is trying to sort of like look through its own feelings and explore itself in a way that was similar to the phrasing of the vocals in that part. But then what's happening at the end is going, but no, we can do this, we can push forward. And so they try to. And so the guitar is telling as much of a story, I think, in certain respects, as Hua Xin Yu is. But then you just, with the vocals being so great and the guitar solos all being fantastic, I think what I also want to sort of like mention is that in terms of the production quality, like that's fantastic. It's studio grade at this point, compositionally diverse. It's also the angelic, almost choir-like nature of it. It's those choir-like vocals in the background, which I treat separately from Hua Xin Yu because Hua Xin Yu is so strong on their own. But they sound like they're being supportive of him. Either they're being supportive or they're letting Hua Xin Yu know that they're not alone. And either way, it's just so, it tugs at your heartstrings. There are parts where Hua Xin Yu, though, is also alone without those backing vocals. And it's just them sort of screaming out or trying to sort of yell out a cry for help. And that lets you know, it's fantastic. We knew when to have less and when to have more. But it's a stunning performance across the board, very tight, sort of like technically, and I go hit in the feels with it, man, for reasons I explained. Just think anyone who can do that is it's awesome. So it was kind of like another way of what Peter Gabriel did in the previous one, where Peter Gabriel was having that sort of really kind of intimate, almost like out of body experience here. This is Hua Xin Yu sort of with their specific mood and their vibe at this point. Very good. You're welcome, Leo. Thank you for your request. I appreciate that. These are not short reviews. I'm trying not to sort of yammer on with these, you know, because I understand that hearing someone kind of yammer is not good fun. Okay, so we have 4 requests though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the queue because I have to go get food after this. So at the moment, what? I don't know why I did that. So at the moment, I've got 4 requests in the queue. Here we go. Closed. So if you've requested a track, it will get done. No, I can't get that. Queue closed. So apologies if you haven't put a track through a request. It's okay either way. We're just going to listen through these last 4. So who do we have next? We have Joy and Joe next. Thank you, Joy and Joe. Thanks for your request. And what does Joy and Joe have for us today after Hua Xin Yu's track? I appreciate why people enjoy Hua Xin Yu. I think that he's a great musician, and I like the diversity within his compositions. I think that there's a lot to appreciate there. I just think it's kind of silly that people get so tribal about musicians and they're like, that person's not a good musician. That person's not, you know, like, it's just silly stuff. Because I've heard some people have issues with Hua Xin Yu in the past, and I don't really get it. But that's cool. It's Joy and Joe's track, Ren, Money Game Part 2.
Strange time we're living in, panic and hysteria. Poor man learn, the rich man don't care for your narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America, Britain split through fickle shit. A government of hypocrites. These counterfeit politicians sit in parliament, not adequate. Come on, needlessly bleeding, resources all dry. Turn a blind eye if it means a pay rise.
Oh, what a shame it would be, I would die.
If number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire. Only joking, only messing, don't be stressing. I'm a peaceful adolescent, there's no need to be unpleasant. Write my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game.
Oh, rain, 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 rain. A storm it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies. Poison in the veins, but we died upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. But point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
I like the the variation with the vocals, going for the more straightforward sort of like rapping approach to this kind of almost kind of fresh, kind of interesting inflection to the way these come through. It's melodic and it works well. It just splits these parts nice really neatly.
This old money game.
Great use of humming on the sides, great sound design.
This old.
Money is a game and the ladder we climb turns a saint into a sinner with his finger in crime. I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in a nursery rhyme. She sells seashells on a seashore, but the value of these shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand. Step one, you must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see. Bear with me, take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island. Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Step two, gotta make the people think that they want them, really fucking want them. Hit them like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a shell, then you're just a fucking waste man. Free.
It's beautifully articulate.
It's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be a new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. 4. Expand, expand, expand. Clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6. Guns, sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock. 7. Press on the gas, take your foot off the brakes. Then run to be the president of the United States. 8. Big smile, make big wave, that's great. Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. 9. Polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. 10. The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore.
Rain, 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 rain. The storm it comes up with.
Oh boy,
And those
that's
who
heavy.
rise to distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we don't upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. We point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
He's tremendous. They're a tremendous musician.
This old money game. This old.
So that was Money Game Part 2 from Ren. I thought this came out a lot more recently than... That's crazy. Should have been did that riff. Sup, Lil Novik? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. What do we think this track's about? So I think it's talking, first of all, about the issue with the Britain and the United States and everything like that. And they talk about potentially like Brexit or something like that because it was 4 years ago. And then they go on to how the corporations like make their money and how they're trying to get us to sort of like fight amongst each other. But I suppose they're actually kind of, it's just like, it's talking about the way that these companies make their money and sort of destroy things and like the kind of like identity or personality you'd have when you get to that point with it. It's just discussing capitalism and like how it's kind of ruining things. And it's not like hyper capitalism, you know what I mean? But it's interesting to hear Ren's perspective on it. I feel like it's very articulate and it's really like you can clearly tell he's unhappy about the situation there. He's calling him like a whore and everything like that. It's brutal, but it's done in a way where it's articulate, it's well worded, well phrased there. The flow is clean, the phrasing, the expression is on point there. We adjust how we sort of say certain things there. We sort of like make sort of like little like narrations or do other people's voices and like why not just sell shells, why not just sell oil, etc. We play around with it and create a sort of like interesting characterizations of certain facets there. So I suppose one of the things I appreciate about this is Ren themselves, how they do their thing with their vocal performances across the board there. They also have these really interesting clean sections in the chorus parts, which sound really, they're almost like it's like, how do I know how to describe it? Like an indie kind of jazzy kind of inflection there that that is nice and palatable with the existing piano parts, the bass line underneath and all that. And it's just well riffed on top of it. It's a nice contrast to the more percussive sort of rhythmic elements of the verse sections themselves. And you've also got the humming parts of the double takes on the sides there, which fill it in really neatly for the second half of those hook sections. And then you go back to that verse afterwards. But there's lots of variety in regards to that. Interesting bits of falsetto occasionally as well. So clearly Rin can sing as well as rap. I'm not as familiar with this stuff as I necessarily want to be. But it's great. So it's great to hear more. So I appreciate Joy and Joe for that, for requesting this for that as well. But just another thing I appreciate is the simplistic kind of structure to it. Like there's so much going on. There's so much information to take in from the rapped parts, but it's also well spaced out. You don't get too much at once. He tries to make it interesting to listen through, but you do just have that first section being about like the US and Britain and stuff like that. And then the next part is about a specific thing that kind of follows on from that. He almost hints at that first part in the first and to follow on to the second there. So you're led through the track by the hand by Ren as he sort of explains stuff and elaborates there. And so I think it's not just that we have an instrumental backing that's sort of quite sort of refined. Like if we have a quick listen through it,
My fingers on the trigger of a money.
you know, like just sometimes we just like the triggers of a money gun, like the wordplay is fantastic. Like it's a relatively simple beat with the percussion, the bass line highlighting certain parts of the root notes within the
Pick as many
progressions.
shells as you can find and hide them on.
You have like the strummed guitars there with a bit of sort of like a reverb on them.
Sell oil as well. 6
And like occasional bass and like brass parts for accents on certain notes and sort of consonants as well. And
distorted lies, poison.
like it's very gentle in other parts as well. Like again with the keys there, it suits the softness of the vocals. So I think the final thing I want to talk about, aside from the structure being compelling, is also the instrument choice. Yeah, she sells seashells on a seashore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they talk about Shell, like the Shell company with oil and everything like that. I think it's just really clever. So just the actual instrument choice for certain parts there. I think the extensions add a bit of sort of like complication to the way we're sort of expressing our emotions here. Like maybe it's not even worth getting too angry at this because the anger is what the corporations want for us to fight between each other. But it's also saying that we still should kind of like at least think about the kind of philosophy behind this and examine it in a way where we're patient with it, but also we're allowed to at the same time still feel angry about it and show that kind of frustration like Ren does through this in a way that's kind of really classy. So thank you to Joy and Joe for requesting this track. I had a great time with it. I think it's really well played and well handled. It's a good listen, man. It's a bop. It's a vibe. We're going to tick that off the list. It does make me want to listen to more Ren, and I'm keen to check it out in future. But for now, what have we got next? We got 3 more to go, I think. We've got Dinner Hay now, so that'll be good for Dinner Hay's one. Thank you for being patient, Dinner Hay. I know that Dinner Hay, sub Paul 7931, welcome to the live stream as well. I know you guys have been patient. I do try and get through these at a reasonable pace. So this is, yeah. But Ren's just really intelligent. Their lyricism is great. They know how to communicate and they're convincing with the way they approach stuff. I know they went through some stuff recently where apparently like one of their biggest songs had legal issues with like the copyright of the beat or something like that, which was kind of brutal. And so I hope that things are okay with that and that they managed to figure stuff out. But either way, yeah. We've got Dinner Hay's request now. This is from Fujikaze Taramashiro Pure White. And it's on Spotify today. Ooh, it's acoustic. Oh, that's fluffy. It's got a timeless sound to it. Get the art up on the screen as well. It's gorgeous. I love it, man.
進まなければゴールできぬゲームなのよ真っ白な心に惹かれ真実をさまよえば
What TV commercial is it for? Like, what company is it for? It wouldn't have been cheap. Or at least it shouldn't have been cheap because he's very good at it. Oh, I'm back into it, buddy. Interesting tail on the top there. I did interesting, like the way it goes kind of that softer head voice. It's a really interesting tail to add to the mix, but it's kind of cool. I like his confidence. Oh, we're doing a fade out as well. That's cool. I feel you that it doesn't seem like something special, Blue Dinner Box. But I dig it. I think this is a really special track. It's like not a super assuming one. Like it's unassuming, but it has this kind of comfiness and coziness that I've become accustomed to with Fuji Kaze's work. And I dig it. Joy and Joe says, this is the kind of song I want to play driving in a sunny Saturday on a hilly road. I agree with you. I think this is great driving music, for sure. Have we listened to Lamp before, Zach? It is a really nice sound. I really dig it. I like it. But yeah, okay, so this was Mashiro, Pure White. Get the art up on the screen there. What do we think this track is about? I'm not sure. Pure White, I'm not familiar enough with my Japanese to be able to understand it. I would need to study more. Weekend song, thank you. I think it's cool. It's just a weekend song. It's just a nice, chilled, sort of like track. Well, I think let's talk about part of why the song works. I think part of it is simply that if this is the song for the weekend, this suits because it's sung in a way that is so personable and easy to listen to. It's such easy listening from Fuji Kaze here. And I hear it and I go, what could you possibly done to have improved that performance? There was a nice variety of different melodies and harmonies through the piece. I liked how things got bigger in the chorus with the additional layers on top. I liked later on the piece we started doing these kind of like tails and other parts there. We had all this kind of like things moving around the stereo field. I like the fact that occasionally it was just Fuji, Kaze by themselves. And it's just what more could you ask for, really? At this point in time in their career, they're very comfortable being both a focal point and working with everyone else. Um, it's a track where it was meant to be kind of like a sort of a aesthetic, a vibe, so to speak. I think there wasn't meant to be a necessarily massive journey that we were going on here. If we go back to the start, it kind of starts with these interesting melodies that have this really sweet legato feel with these kind of like Latin flamenco kind of like classical guitar chords there, and it's just a fantastic mixture of the different bass and sort of higher notes there on the right hand of with the guitar player. Like just having that be enough, and then moving straight into the sparkles of the keys there on the right hand there with the way they glow in the mix, moving on to the actual full body power of the drums, but then being sort of relatively like chill as well. Like there's definitely a sense of push to the drums, but it's just more of a sort of a gentle groove that kind of reminds you of what the tempo and the pace is. Part of what I appreciate about this, in addition to how I suppose the track enters and the choices, I suppose to summarize that second point, is that we have so many little intricate nuances and additions, and bits of ear candy to appreciate throughout. We are able to understand where we need to have a flurry of the keys to move over, the guitars to kind of build up a little bit less of the picked parts there, maybe some sort of strummed parts there to kind of fill in the sound a bit more. We understand when to come down and have less elements, such as when it is just Fuji, Kaze, and like the guitar and like the interlude bit after the bigger section near the end. We have the choruses there where the vocals again are a lot of the color, but we have the bass nice and thick in the full range. And we don't have any necessarily having like sort of dominant solo sections. If they are leads, they're sub leads. They're like their keys, they kind of go into a similarish kind of range there, but they're on the side, so they don't sort of like overcomplicate it too much. This track is meant to be a focal point for Fuji Kaze, but at the same time, yeah, structurally interesting because of the subtle changes, vocally very compelling. I think just the overall theme itself with the things I've mentioned, it just the way that they're produced to be kind of not too sort of like sterilized, overproduced. It's just there's a sense of warmth and vintage kind of lack of like niche EQing or notch EQing there that allows for a bit of body and mid-range to it that makes it sound nice and warm there. The instruments aren't competing for attention within the arrangement in the mix. They typically like sleep on each other really well, and that's just like credit to the actual ability to sort of like arrange things. And ultimately the total sound of it with the mixture of major minors with the extensions on those chords there were parallels, maybe major minors, or modulations, but there were no harsh edges to it. It was a very sort of peaceful track. So just really compelling song, even if it is just for like a TV ad. I think that he smashed it, and I'm really happy I got the chance to hear that. So thank you to Dinahave for putting forward this track from Fuji Kaze Taramashiro Pure White. It's cool stuff. Cool stuff. Now we've got two more tracks to go from Paul7931 and then Zach. But it's good vibes, man. You know what? I don't know if you guys ever forget, like, maybe I'm just out of it, but I forget that it's the weekend. Like, it just, time just goes so quickly that you almost, I think I personally lose track of time, and I'm like, oh, it's Saturday now. It's nice to appreciate the small things. What has Paul got for us today? Also, Dinahe, Joy and Joe, anyone else watching this, if you've requested a track, I'd appreciate if you can tell me what you liked about it. Just to hear what you dig about your songs. Because I can talk about what I like, but it's also good for me to hear what you guys like about it. You don't have to say, but it just could be cool to talk about it, But what we got here? This is another Spotify track from Paul7931. Get the art up there. Voice Jeonji. I get the feeling this is going to be an interesting lesson, yeah? Phenomenal snare technique.
Follow, follow him, convulsive flipping since 1940s. Travel, traveling the mountain with the sea. Rain turns the channel clean. Falling, falling drips, oh lying down between. Come into earthly dreams. Down and down a ridge, however thin a wing, merge with the heart to breathe. Muses the wind when I dance with the trees. Muse the speed I need to reading. Muses the one that I wanna keep in the sea.
Guitar solo? What is this song about? I feel like I've been told the story and I didn't comprehend it.
Rain turns the channel clean. Falling, falling drips, oh lying down between. Come into earthly dreams.
Like I'm hearing the sentences. Falling, falling drips. Something between.
It's the wind when I touch with the heart to breathe. Misses the wind when I dance with the trees. Miss the speed I need to reading. Misses the wonder I wanna keep in the sea.
Okay, I'm not sure. This is one of those situations where, like, there are different sentences that I'm hearing, and just on a first listen basis, I feel like I would need the lyric sheet to go, okay, true, yeah, maybe that is it. So maybe we're literally looking at it from a, these are the things that inspire me. These are the things that get me to want to make music. These are the things that encourage me to do it. Maybe that's it. Let's just roll with that, Joy and Joe. Thank you. I was trying to find a way to connect all the sentences together, but if we that's also a part, that's definitely also a possibility as well. So we're gonna go with this track being about all the different muses and things that inspire them. We had like sort of fantasy elements mentioned as well, so I'm wondering if it's like almost like this is like a like this is like a mixture of their like literal influences plus also the things that inspire them and the context of the album that they have. But either way, interesting story. Part of what I appreciate about this track is just the really stellar vocal performance here. It's a very kind of like, it's a tone from like almost sort of jazzy stuff from like the 50s and 60s. It's kind of, there are certain musicians that I've heard recently that do music like Lofi. Like Lofi, as I'm not mistaken, the way that they're singing there, but it's almost like it's kind of like a step further to the it's like a step further because we are just having all these really fantastic, interesting things occurring around us, instrumentally, production wise, and where we're layering stuff. But we also kind of we still focus on them. It's almost like we go between wanting to blend with elements and then it's kind of standing out on our own. And we manage to do so regardless of whether or not we're kind of being like surrounded by those extra layers or not. It's just a really compelling performance. It's okay. Like I appreciate you trying to send them through. That YouTube blocks people from having lyrics, but it's more like with these requests in the live streams, I typically just try and figure it out my own. Just because the concern I have is if I was like, people send me lyrics that would take probably like twice as long to go through these tracks, could I be looking through the lyrics, trying to make sure that I understood everything correctly, and then if I didn't, I just kind of feel dumb. Whereas I feel like if I have a first go, I just probably be able to figure it out on my own time. But it's just kind of a first listen basis or impressions anyways, right? But I appreciate you trying to send those through anyways. Thank you, Joy and Joe. But yeah, I just think just her actual vocal technique is incredible. Very comfortable across the head and chest voice. The way we, Waylon Shad. Oh, what's up, Waylon? How you doing? I think we had a chat last time about stuff. What do I want to say about that? So clearly phenomenal vocalist, very kind of mysterious with the tone of it. It's not like we're necessarily trying to sort of like get people to, we're not necessarily trying to get people to sort of like phone in or make it super accessible. It's just more that we're kind of encouraging them to listen to us in a very sort of mysterious sort of environment. This track, like the beautiful harmonies, but we just have all these incredible instrumental layers. Like if we just go to different parts of the track, there is variety and diversity throughout. So you got those different pad parts, you've got the snare drums with the chains on and stuff like that, which is great. You know, great flutter there. The tone of the kit is fantastic as well. The actual studio production, its production is fantastic as well, which we'll go into in a moment. But knowing to kind of allow space for those notes whilst also playing ghost notes on those snares there to allow more space for the vocals. With those kind of uncomfortable, sort of mysterious key parts there where we harmonize, but we harmonize in ways that are chromatic to the key signature that we have. We're not afraid to have a sort of out of body kind of sort of strange feel to what we're doing with certain elements whilst keeping the others tying things together.
Down and down the ridge.
But it's also the mixture of different guitar parts, the pads, etc. So this is the kind of track where compositionally we really are sort of going, okay, we have like 20 different instruments and they're going to do a specific thing. And we're going to allow them to kind of come in one after the other and kind of have this purpose and this purpose, and sometimes they will intertwine, and they'll sound great within the key signature. Sometimes we'll modulate, but we'll keep trying things as simple and as sort of accessible as we can in regards to the actual like purpose of them. Like we're not going to have something do too much. Well, I would like great use of looping in certain parts as well, like the snare parts, etc. But I just like the little adjustments and variations with like suddenly, oh, we'll have the hi-hat be like a little bit off there, and we'll have it in groove and in time rhythmically with the vocals. And I think some of you guys talked about it. Zach mentioned really liking the keys following her there. And I think that's fantastic. Like the fact that we had a sense of rhythmic unison, even if we have all these other different elements around Voix Jeonji, kind of calling for our sort of notice and attention, almost like those are the different muses. We have a kind of a coherent message there, a vision moving forward, that we aren't too distracted by it. It's just a complicated piece, man. Like those 16-note kicks and like the snare patterns as well. It's an incredibly astute performance there with some really interesting sounds and textures. And we have like that solo section on the key at the end there. We had some guitar kind of solo-ish parts too. Yeah, it's hard to take in everything, but I love the fact that there's replay value in this. Suppose the final thing, aside from the production value being incredible and just everything being able to be easily heard within the mix, and some interesting panning decisions where the things go far to the left and kind of flesh it out in a way which kind of takes your attention away, and you're going through Narnia with this track. There's just a phenomenal amount of replay value to the point where I feel like after this one track, you can listen through the rest, have different experiences every time with it. And that is not an easy thing to do. It's a difficult balancing act to achieve. But I think that Voix Jeonji manages to accomplish it here. And I just think in terms of, it's not avant-garde or experimental necessarily. It's just we have, again, so many muses that we're trying to intertwine into a piece. And we do handle it well. So that is my kind of, I'm not super happy with that feedback on that track in terms of my like specificity, but I feel like I've at least said some stuff about what I like about it, and that is at least half of the point. So thank you to Paul7931 for putting that track through. We have one more song today from Zach, and then we are good to go. Thanks for your request, Zach. Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. I think the story is about the female character set in 1940s. Maybe there was bad things happen in the real world, and she appreciates the nature and spiritual figures found in nature that purifies her soul. Thank you, Joy and Joy. I appreciate that. It's good to have that context there. I did hear them talk about the year, to be fair. I just didn't know if it was 1914 or 1940. And it's also like, it's just such a complicated piece, but I appreciate you helping me out with that. It's good to have assistance. Hey, we have Neutral Milk Hotel for the second time today from Zach. I mean, not from Zach. I mean, I think Jacob initially requested the first one. I don't really follow people like at all. Just as a professional thing. I don't follow people because I just, there's going to be that one person who's like, why won't you follow me? You followed that person. And then they'll get kind of grumpy about it. And then what'll happen? So as a reviewer, I just avoid following people just to avoid showing any bias whatsoever. But I wish you the best of luck, man. It's a good start getting 14 followers, eh? Yeah. Now, typically, I don't think any music reviewer should be like showing any bias whatsoever, even in their follows, unless they're explicit about it. That probably sounds super hardcore, but for your request, I'll listen to certain music in my spare time, but I just don't follow people. Maybe if they're friends or family, but aside from that, nah. I could do it for money. I have a Fiverr gig where you can pay to get songwritings. You could do that via the Fiverr gig link in the description. But it's just that I can't. It had to be through Fiverr, as I don't do songwritings during the live streams. Yeah, let's go, Zach. Let's do it. So where is that link here? The guy earlier made me want to request this. One of my fave songs, not really sure why. Just like how he flows on the song, I guess. But their body of work is definitely worth checking out if you're ever interested. Yeah, definitely, man. I'd be keen to check it out at some point. I'm really just keen to get this house. And then when I get this house...
There are beads that
Yeah, so your playlist, man, we're talking probably thousands of dollars to do something like that. Like, not even kidding. Thousands of dollars. You think about you just times 704 by 6. And then you got your number. That's how much it would cost me to review every single song in your playlist. So if you got a spare $4,000, I could do it. But then I probably wouldn't take on the work because it would take me like half a year to do it. Money Game Part 3 comes into effect. Yep. Absolutely. Wait, what is Money Game Part 3? I don't know that one. We've seen 2 today, haven't we? But yeah. You've passed by Neutral Milk Hotel. Let's go. Thank you, Zach. Yeah. Yeah, before I continue, any amount of songs would be times 6 because it's $6 per song. Actually, no, because that doesn't include ratings. No, it'd be more expensive. Gardenhead, thank you. What happened? Did I stuff it up? Did I stuff it up? Oh, cool. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. I'm not sure what happened, mate, but I apologize for that. We're on Gardenhead. Thank you for letting me know. Yay, we found it. The Gardenhead. But it's a different tone to that trumpet this time. The fuzzy guitars are pretty good. It's a really interesting combination of elements. I mean, I do agree with the lo-fi focus, the stuff that you mentioned there production-wise. I think that it's an interesting move and it makes it sound unique. Just having a look through the lyrics. There are beads that wrap around your knees that crackle into the dark. Like a walk in the park, like a hole in your head, like the feeling you get when you realize you're dead. What is the garden head? How do you interpret the song, Zach? How do you interpret it, Zach? You might have spoken about it. Yeah. Yeah, I had to check through the message in case we'd had put anything forward there. This is a confusing one. Like, the sentences individually make sense, but like trying to connect them together is kind of difficult for me. I kind of get some parts there where I'm trying to connect the leave me alone. Is the first part talking about the lives that we live, and they're like beats that wrap though around your knees that crackle into the dark. How do you interpret that? Like the rolling coasters into the ocean, I guess we spiral down into the water. It's like our souls going around the water, I suppose, after we're dead, maybe. And I guess it's worth your time because of some lives you live. And somebody you leave behind. It's hard to explain. The garden hand. I'm not sure how to interpret. So the lyrics are confusing. So I'll meet you up high on in your anger of all that is hoping and waiting for you. I mean, I get that the rejection makes sense, leave me alone. I'm just not sure how to interpret the first half. So thank you, Zach. I would appreciate some assistance. So this song, Garden Head, Leave Me Alone, it's almost like one of the things I appreciate is that even though I'm not really sure what the lyrics are about, it's their journey. Then they've just got this consistency with the approach of how they sing. So you know going into a neutral milk hotel how they're going to sound, how you're going to be able to sort of like follow along with it. And it always kind of sounds like he's kind of calling out or kind of thinking over or pondering something. There's an innate sense of poetry and art to it in a way that is also personable. There's never really, and there might be some occasional harsh edges, but there's nothing in this where it's like kind of affronting or uncomfortable. We typically do harmonize really neatly with the other elements throughout the arrangement. And you can hear the words clearly, even if they don't necessarily totally make sense together. Maybe on a second listen or something. I do think I appreciate what Zach has mentioned about the lo-fi audio production. I think it almost adds like a grounded humanistic expression to it that you might not have otherwise if you were to try to sort of oversaturate it and try and sort of color and clear stuff out. Maybe it is people going through a more sort of difficult time and they're trying to sort of present that the way it is in their actual audio production. I'm not sure. But it's still mixed. Like you can still hear the individual components. It's just sort of very sort of rustic. Like we're really trying to get down into the hedges and kind of spit things out, you know. The narrator is experiencing a revelation about his relationship with both drugs and a girl that isn't good for him. Thank you. The drugs make sense. Good. So we're tripping out. We're having a time with drugs, and we've realized that maybe the drugs is like that. You know, the frost-colored angels are the drugs. And things are slipping through, so they're not coping well with it, and they're realizing they've connected it to the girl, and then therefore things are not working out, and they're having to sort of like leave them alone. They don't want to have either of those two things in their life anymore. And I suppose it kind of makes sense with the lo-fi sound of it. It's that kind of trippy sort of almost psychedelic stuff. It's a crack song, yeah, basically. So it makes sense that there's a like a lo-fi tone because it's not meant to sound pretty sounding. It's meant to sound like kind of harsh with the instrumental parts there. It's indeed a crack song. So it's about crack. So there we go. So thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. As well as for Joy and Joe for backing that up. So I think the production-wise, the way it's played makes sense once you understand what the story is about. Not meant to be oversaturated. Not meant to be seen clean sounding at all. It's kind of a dirty, kind of gritty track. The vocal performance, as I mentioned, was tight. And it's also like the fact that we had it kind of sound palatable and with the overall theme, the guitar parts with a bit of kind of a lot of the mood is through the sounds of the instruments, but we still managed to kind of keep it somewhat like less intense because of the chord choices, the melodies, the leads from the trumpets and stuff like that there. We found a good balance, I think, between over egging the pudding by having too many edgy bass lines or melodies or harmonies or interval choices or whatever. We found a balance between it being easier to listen to in that respect, the production and the vocals on the other side. Just compositional equilibrium achieved. And I think that there's enough diversity with the composition itself, with the storytelling within 3 minutes 13 for it to be an effective piece. It's just a really cool sounding, original, kind of unique song to it. I think that's it. So my overall comment, I suppose, on this before we finish up for today is that I think the Neutral Milk Hotel have really good, unique sound. I haven't listened to them until we did these live streams, so thank you to Zach as well as to Jacob for your picks. And that was Zach's pick for Gardenhead Neutral from Neutral Milk Hotel. I'm going to take these headphones off. So this has been a long live stream. We've been doing this for about 2.5 hours, and so I'm going to take a break now. The queue's been closed for a bit. I just want to, before we go, just give a shout out to the people that put through tracks today. We had a couple from Sweet Lily Loves, that was In the Sky and Saving Grace. We had Dr. Theo with Porter Robinson, Jacob Good, with Neutral Milk Hotel as well, Leo with a few Huaxin Yu tracks, Carl B as well with Peter Gabriel, which was Transcendent. I think Peter Gabriel was probably my favorite track from today. What was your favorite track from today? If it was yours, that's totally fine. If it wasn't, what was your favorite track? Thank you to Joy and Joe as well as Dinner Hay, Paul7931, and Zach for your picks. Just to sort of quickly message back to Waylon in case I've gone somewhere else. I know this is, I want to say this in a nice way. First of all, it's just people will either do stuff for free or they'll do stuff as paid work. On YouTube, when I've done music reviews, it's always been as a professional music reviewer. I would like to do free live streams. I would like free request live streams, and I've done them in the past. And it's something I might look at in future. But I feel like at this point in time, there's just a good balance with this stuff. People seem to be okay with it. And, you know, I just think that if I was to offer a free request to every single one of the 15,000 people that subscribe to my channel every 3 weeks, it'd just be a bit too much. But I appreciate the chat. Going to bed now. Have a good night. Always like catching these streams. Glad you did, man. Thank you for coming along. Thank you to everyone for coming along. So, conclusion time. Thank you. Oh, that's there. Hopefully that looks okay. Thank you to every one of you for coming along to this live stream number 10 for $6 song reviews, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out these various social medias via their social medias and the YouTube page. Stay cool and stay safe. And by the way, I'm glad that the song before mine was my fave. Oh, did you like so you liked the one from Voyaging G, Muse for Joyce. I'm glad you liked it. Zach, that's fantastic. I do, yeah. A young man who played Minecraft. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It's okay, it's chill. Like, I think when people are like 12 years old, they're kind of figuring out how the world works anyways, and stuff like that. It's chill. I appreciate that people are okay with the system that we have. And I'm appreciative of being able to do it. So thank you for watching this live stream. Hopefully you all have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool and stay safe. And I'll catch you guys in the next live stream. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1.